Hey everyone, welcome back to Young and Unscripted. So today we are at Theatre Peckham and we are interviewing the cast and crew of Romeo Must Die, which is performing this year at Peckham Fringe.
Hi, my name is Gloria Akpoke. I'm the writer, director of Romeo Must Die, and I'm happy to be here with you, Sienna.
I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. I would love to start by just knowing where the inspiration came from. What sparked Romeo Must Die?
Honestly, my life, my secondary school experience, growing up in Manchester, being in a society and in a environment that not many people look like me. But I did find my group of friends and I did find my people, and it was very, very different to my experience in primary school and even college. But just being able to step into an environment that was so daunting, because secondary school is like, oh my God, like you feel tiny in such a big place. But being able to step into that and be able to figure out and find out what community is while growing in the body that I'm in now, and also being able to share the struggles that we didn't know how to voice back then with other people who didn't know how to voice it either. So that's what inspired Romeo Must Die.
Amazing. And it's in Manchester 2007, isn't it?
Yes,
What was it specifically about 2007?
Honestly, child. Honestly, nothing. Honestly, because it started off being very vague, of being just early 2000s, and it was like late 2000s, and then I kind of just decided on 2007, mainly because if I pushed it too forward, I felt that it would feel too recent,
Right.
and it needed to. Well, when you see the show, you'll see it, but it needed to feel like a different period in time. Right. And for me, like 2007, 2006 was so different to 2016, 2012. And so it was just to set the period of time and make you feel like, okay, this isn't our space that we live in now. Now it's nostalgic, it's reminiscent, it's going back.
Okay, and secondary school is such a formative part of everyone's life. And obviously you've said it's based on your own experiences, but what was it specifically about secondary school that you wanted to hone in on and not be college and it not be later on in life?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but like secondary school was like, everybody got into secondary school and you came from primary school where you were just drawing and running around and playing under parachutes and stuff like that, and thinking about, oh, I'm going to be this and I'm going to be this and life's going to go this way and that way. And then you get into secondary school and then you're like, oh no.
Yes, secondary school was a whirlwind.
Yeah, it was a big wake-up call for everyone. And I think everyone who comes and sees the show will realize that regardless of what background you're from or what struggles you went through when you were younger and how those years were for you individually, everyone's life took such a big, massive turn in secondary school. And you started to really be hyper aware of how the world sees you, how other people see you, how you carry yourself, how you speak, what you look like. And there's a tragedy in that for me. Looking back and thinking, oh, but we just wanted to be girls, you know? We just wanted to be girls and they just wanted to be boys. And the world reminds us very, very quickly that's not what we're going to get. And so literally it was just the fact that like this is such a tragic moment in everybody's life, that we lose our innocence and that hope and that light that we have from childhood and that play that we get. We completely lose it in secondary school, and some people try and find it again, some people don't ever find it again, and it's just about honing in on that particular moment in time.
So then you live that, you go through secondary school. When do we put pen to paper?
Oh God, Sienna, don't ask me this question. Pen to paper, honestly, it started off 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And it was just a concept for a while. It just sat as a concept. And then it kind of became so many things throughout the process. I am not a linear writer. I don't write from the beginning to the end. I have a really difficult process, which I would not advise anyone do, but I just write scenes. I write random scenes, and then I try and then rejig the order and figure out if this works in this way and this works in that way. And so my process is very all over the place. And so it did just, like I said, start from a concept, and then it just stayed there for a while. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to honor my friends, the friends that I grew up with in some sort of way. And then they kind of came into it. I started, building the story of the girls and the boys and how they fit together, because my group growing up was very mixed. My friendship group was very mixed. And then it was a little bit about love for a while, and kind of reflecting what was going on in my personal life, not to give too much, but it was just a little bit about love for a while, and how innocent and up and down love can be. And then it went back to my primitive years and being with my friends, and then it kind of just blew up into this, I understand what my writing style is, I understand what I like to write about, I understand the concept and what I'm trying to say. And then it was just about being as contemporary as possible and seeing what I can take from something that I really enjoy, which is Shakespeare, Greek plays, Aristotle, very theatrical, philosophical plays, and reflect and flip that on its head so it reflects my own life and my own story in a way that everyone can relate to. So that's kind of how pen came to paper in a really long-winded way. But the R&Ds that I did over 2025, I did a ton of R&Ds. One of them with Remmel, actually. That's how
amazing.
I met Remmel, I think. But I did a ton of R&Ds, and I kid you not, every single R&D I did formed the next story and the next chapter and what happened next and how I could see it happening. And it has continued to form and build, and the story has continued to develop because the actors are the key in it. And I think for me, I can write from a place of relativity. I can write from a place of this is about my friends or about my life, but really, really and truly, there has been so many different actors that have read the scripts and tried at the characters, and every single one of them have a unified anchor point to what the character is, but they all have different ways of expressing it. And so for this show, particularly for Theatre Peckham, I want to honor my actors. Like, I want to honor what they've brought to the story and what they've produced. And so it's always going to keep developing. The pen is not finished touching the paper.
I love that. I'm interested to know, so you say you start with all of these different scenes. With your first scene that you first started writing, is that still in the play or has that changed?
Oh, it has changed.
Okay.
It has changed. So oh gosh, how do I say this without giving us away a spoiler? But I wrote scene. Okay, so everybody knows Romeo Must Die. Romeo does die. That's not a spoiler. That is in the title, but I wrote the death of Romeo first.
Okay.
And so the way it's changed is how Romeo dies and the tragedy and who kills Romeo, which is also not very clear. I feel like the audience has to decipher who. Oh, I know who kills Romeo, and probably the casters now. But it's a deciphering system. It's a play that you come into and you switch your brain on and you start figuring out the puzzle pieces. But that scene is definitely a scene that has completely changed in how we got there and how we get to these final moments. Yeah.
And the title, we have to talk about it because I feel like it's the most intriguing thing. It's drawing everyone in. Romeo Must Die, our brains are automatically going to Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
But that also brings the theme of tragedy. That's how it starts. And you talked about that a lot at the beginning of the interview. So I'd love to know more about that and why you want the audience to immediately think of tragedy.
Yes. So why tragedy was the biggest theme for me is, other than those are the stories that I like to consume in terms of theatre, it's a way for me to philosophically discuss or start to challenge what it means to be human, and what it means to grow up in a body like yours, or in a mind like yours, or in a society like yours. But the title, the title, because the story started off as a concept, the concept of innocence and the concept of losing your innocence being the tragedy at such a young ages, that was what had to die. The concept had to die. So from the very, very beginning, it was all about killing the concept in the story. Has it killed more? Maybe. Maybe. But it was definitely bred from that. It was bred from, okay, I want people to know it's a tragedy. I want people to know it's Shakespeare, but it's not the normal, like, Romeo and Juliet story. It's not just a copy and paste or a West Side Story. It's different. It's a complete different angle of what Romeo and Juliet could be and can be. But definitely in terms of sticking with this core theme of loss of innocence and the tragedy in that is why the concept was meant to be killed from the very, very start.
And how do you honour those inspirations that you've obviously drawn from, but also by making it so authentically your play, and by making sure that it's not just a complete copy of what we already know to be the story?
So I know how to answer this question, and I don't know how to answer this question in a way that, like, the way I feel like I honor Shakespeare and even Romeo Must Die, the film, is just taking aspects of their themes, whether it's love, whether it's youth and innocence. But also there's a lot of Shakespeare, original text of Shakespeare embedded into the story.
Amazing.
Do you know what I mean? There's moments where the characters go off into monologues, and sometimes there's just words or just lines. Like, it's really interweaved because I wanted it to feel like theatre and stage and the stories that we go and watch isn't too far from what our lives actually are. Like, don't get me wrong, it's very dramatic and emotions are very, very heightened, but theatre is a way that we get to see ourselves. And I was speaking to a cast member, I can't remember who it was, but we were just talking about the difference with Christy. I was speaking to Christy. And we were talking about the difference of stage and film would be nowhere without stage.
Oh, 100%.
Stage is such a big reflection of what it means to be human, and it allows everybody who steps into a theatre as an audience member to digest and understand and relate to what being human is by just turning up the intensity. And so for me, I feel like that's how I honor Shakespeare. That's how I honor these really classical modes of storytelling, by sticking to the core emotion and the emotive feeling that you're trying to make everybody feel in a space at one given time, because theatre is so ephemeral. It's just here and then it's gone. And then it changes, and you can't rewind or you can't pause and you can't, record it. It's just that. But definitely everything in the world influences me creatively. I think that's for every creative, to be fair. You just pick different things, even when you're not realizing it. You just
it's all molding in there.
Exactly.
And all the world's a stage, as they say. And what has it been like directing the show? Because you've written it, those words are ingrained in you. They're your words. And what's it like putting on that director hat?
Honestly, directing has always come very, very natural to me. Like, I've always been a director at heart. Even when I was just acting, I knew that I was going to direct one day, and I'm going to end up directing. But directing the process there is such a joy in just being able to witness it. I have said to Maya, one of my producers, I've said to her, I kind of feel sad that like I don't get to be in it. But like I know why I don't get to be in it, because when I write stories, I write stories for other Black girls, I write stories for other Black boys, I write stories and characters that are not only interesting for Black people and young Black people to play, Black people overall, really, but for the Black community to play, but also roles that will challenge them, and not just a stereotypical role or just a role that is just it could be performed by anyone. No, it's specific, it's reflective, and it's challenging. And as an actor, I think you need that stimulating role to really feel like, okay, this is something that you really want to do. And so I always say that no matter how many plays and performances that I write, I will never be in them. And that's just a rule that I've given myself, because it's for me to give to other actors and other performers, which I really enjoy. But also as a director, I just find myself just pausing and staring at my cast sometimes and taking a snapshot of the moment in my head and just wishing that if I could give anything to just be able to tap back into this and relive it whenever and how many times, I would do anything. And I have to say to my cast, I know I tell you guys, but I have to say to my cast and my creative crew, I love you guys so much. You guys are incredible. Every single one of you. The hope and the trust that you have given me in this process, in allowing me to be able to get this far, and in being excited for the process, is something that I could have only prayed and asked for. And being able to experience it in this lifetime is such a blessing that I do not take granted for. So thank you to every single one of you. I'm probably gonna cry on the last day, but that's okay, because it will be the last performance.
Aww.
But yeah, no, I'm a bit hippy dippy and spiritual, but genuinely, like, it's such a blessing to be able to live in this moment with them and experience this time of our lives together. And it's something that I'm never going to forget.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I want to quickly ask you about movement.
Yes.
And I want to know, what do you think that the movement says in the play that words can't tell you?
Oh, gosh, we could be here for another 40 minutes, Sienna. Well, movement is, I love movement. I can't separate myself from movement. It is something that I always love to talk about, in terms of there can be the heightened big choreography that is very spectacular and interesting to watch, and there can be the slightest touch, and the spectrum of movement and being able to play with that is such a reflection of who we are as humans and what we take granted for. And being able to work with a fantastic creative and artist, Sel, love you too, who is...
He's actually been on the podcast. We love Sel. We love
Sel. Being able to collaborate with Sel, who is my co-movement director, is such an incredible opportunity, because I remember when me and Sel first met each other, and I was like, we need to work together.
Yeah.
We need to work together, because our styles are so different. And so when it came to Romeo Must Die, I was like, I know there's going to be movement in it. This is the time to call up Sal. Yeah. But genuinely, the movement in it is everything that the group of kids in the story don't know how to say with words. And that's what I'll leave you with.
I love
That's what I'll leave you with.
Gloria, I have two final questions for you.
Me.
So my second to last one is, what do you want audiences to walk away with? What is the one lesson you want the audiences to leave the theatre thinking?
Community is so important. And having that at such young ages, where you're still developing and learning what the world is, can change everything. And when innocence is lost, community is all you have left. And even if you can't bring back that innocence, just having a community to hold you through the process is something that is so important and so special. So find your community, hold on to them, and let them know that they're appreciated.
Amazing. And my final question, I promise, I know I've kept you for a while, is what advice would you give to future creatives who want to put on their own work, who want to write but they don't know where to start, who want to direct but don't know where to start? What advice would you give to them?
Oh my gosh, just do it. I know people say that all the time, and I mean, I was in the exact same position 2 years ago. Like, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know how to do it. but figure out or decide, I would say decide that you're going to just do it. And then from there, ask questions, go and see shows, sign up for anything and everything, meet people, collaborate with people, get excited about other people's work. Like it's not just a personal journey. Like it's you have to take this journey with other people. Like you have to. If you try and do it alone, I just can't see it working doing it alone. So decide that you're going to do it despite any obstacle, and then through that find the people that can sit down with you for 2 minutes and just be like, this is how I did it. Or just go and see people your age doing things that you would love to do, and then be like, can you tell me how you did that, please? Because genuinely, I didn't know how to do this 2 years ago. I still don't even think I know how to do it now. I still think I'm just figuring it out. But one thing that I've always had in my head is I'm gonna keep going and I'm gonna keep doing it, because this is how I breathe.
Yeah.
I create and I breathe. And so if I'm not doing this, I can't breathe. And if you're that type of person, if you feel that same way, you have to find a way for you to breathe. Even if it's just little pockets of air that grow into big breaths, do it. Just do it.
Hello, I'm Maya Onwugbonu. I'm a multi-hyphenate creative and I work in theatre, screen and communities.
Hi, I'm Jessica Fowler and I am a producer and actor, and I am also the founder and producer of Deptford Scratch.
So you are both the co-producers of Romeo Must Die. I'm really interested to know, what does producing look like before anything gets on stage, before anything starts?
Lots of talking, lots of planning, organisation of like people. I think I always think of producing as like it's the organisation of people and like things, because you communicate a lot with venues and try and like sort that stuff out, but you also work with getting the people on your team together, getting all of those sorted. So before it gets to the stage, it's just a lot of meetings, it's a lot of planning, making sure everything is in place, it's a lot of risk assessments, there's a lot of budgeting, all the like slightly less creative parts of theatre.
And Maya, you've worked a lot with new writing. So what was it specifically about Gloria's play that drew you in and you wanted to be a part of it?
It's so interesting because when she first approached me, I had said to her, like, I don't want to do any more producing at the moment, which is so funny because I'm currently producing so many different shows right now, so it was obviously a lie. But she just came to me, she was like, we've worked together for years now. We first met during Tallowa Theatre Young Company together. And so she's like, I just really appreciate your style and how you work with creatives. And so I think you'd be a great fit for this project. And so we just kind of had that conversation. And I was like, well, you're an amazing creative and I know how powerful this is going to be. I was able to see it at Deptford Scratch. So I saw a version of it with a couple of the actors that are in it today. And so it was like, yeah, no, this is going to be a really good show. And it just speaks a lot to who she is as a person and her background. And so I think that's what initially drew me into this project.
And what drew you in, Jess?
Basically similar, but I had the opportunity to meet Gloria through doing Deptford Scratch, and Deptford Scratch is the only thing I've ever produced. I've been told to go into producing before, and I've always kind of held back, but I watched it and I was just kind of like, I really want to be a part of this. I think you could tell even from just the 10-minute snippet that was there, just how incredible the work was going to be and the potential for where it's going. So to be a part of that is just couldn't really say no.
As producers, when do you know is your right time to have an input creatively, but then also to step back and also to be sorting out the logistics? And when does Gloria come to you and say, oh, I want to do this, this and this? And you're like, that's great, but actually we can't fit that in the show.
We haven't had a lot of that, to be honest. For me, through doing Deptford Scratch, my manager, I haven't really produced anything else. My manager is very much in the developmental stage. She doesn't really say no to me. Everything's finding a solution as to how we can do it and how we can make it happen. And so I think it's that I've kind of learned from that. And so it's been more of that, like, if we can make it happen by any means, we absolutely will. But I think that kind of has also shown that, like, when we say no, if we have to say no, it is because there is no other alternative.
I'm an advocate for no. Not in like I just always think obviously there's often creative reasons for something to happen in a show, and there's often just a desire and a want. And I think a huge part of a producer's job is deciding if this is a creative necessity or something that she just wants. And so even for one of our post-show events, Gloria wanted the DJ on the balcony. That's just the want. It's not anything that needs to happen, and it can't happen logistically. And so I knew immediately that was a no. But I let her, in the process of deciding that, we spoke about solutions. We spoke about the reasons why it was impractical, and then came to my right decision. But I think when it comes to working with the creativity and being the logical person in the room, you always have to lead through the creativity to get to the logic.
Right.
And so that's a way of like balancing it and always finding a solution. It's like, okay, so what is it that you want and why do you want this? And once you understand that, you can say, well, I can't do that, but I can do this. It gives you the same effects.
What has the rehearsal process revealed about the play that maybe wasn't obvious on the page?
It's funny because I read the script at the beginning of the year when we first applied for Theatre Peckham, and then I didn't really look at it again until we did our read through, and so much has changed. I was reading it going, oh my god, what? Because Gloria had gone away and edited it and updated it, but I hadn't read it since. I was just in the practical, getting all the cast and whatever else ready, that I never tapped back into the script. So I think that was a really nice discovery of how the story itself had developed. And I think a huge part of that development of story was the casting of who we have on stage and the inspiration that Gloria was able to get from just showcasing it in a room for the audition, seeing bits that work that don't work specifically in language. So yeah, I think that's a huge part. The story has really evolved, and it feels natural, it feels authentic. So yeah, I don't know about you.
I think for me, the thing that you doesn't really translate on the page is all the movement stuff. So we have Sel and we have Gloria, who are the movement directors, and they have two very different styles of movement, and so they've blended them. And obviously you can see in the script that there's movement that's going to happen, but it's through the rehearsal process and them working together with the actors and blending those that you really can see that actually coming to life, and it's very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, it sounds it. And I know from seeing Sel's things previously as well, how amazing he is at movement. So I'm excited to see it. I know there's so many different components to being a producer. As you guys have said, there's so many logistical things. Do you have a favourite?
I'm going to say my favourite is budgeting.
Okay.
Which I feel is probably an unpopular opinion.
Yeah. But
I really like maths. Maths has always been my thing growing up. If I wasn't a creative, I'd be in maths in some form or fashion. And so I do like the budgeting side of things, because there's a clear answer to questions, especially if it's oh, can I buy this? I'm well, the budget says no. So I think that's always quite nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because I'm kind of the opposite to you in that I don't like saying no. So I think my favourite part of it is even if something has felt like it's not necessarily an option, kind of making it happen. And it can't always happen, but I think my favourite thing is being able to say yes to something that is difficult, but it is possible, because there's, we did our whole trailer, we shot that where I work at Deptford Lounge, and so obviously we hired out the space, but there was a lot that we could do with that space in order to make it look, it is a school, we shot in a school, so just being able to make that happen and make the vision kind of come to life, I enjoy that.
Yeah. And what would the success of the play look like for you as producers?
I guess my answer is simple, is seeing Gloria happy with the product. I think a producer's role is literally to help a director or a writer go from an idea to a product, and So regardless of like how other people receive it, it's how does Gloria feel it at the end. Because all the work that goes into it, there's so much that happens. And so sometimes the journeys where the cast will feel the most like joy from, or being on stage will give them the most like exhilaration because of, you know, performance highs and whatnot. But I think for a director writer, seeing their vision come to life is usually the biggest part for them. And so as long as she's happy with that, we've done our job, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I know that Gloria kind of, this isn't necessarily the end. So I also think, like, I don't know, just, we've got press night coming up. So, like, we've got people invited, and, like, if any doors were to open up for her that she can kind of take it somewhere else, transfer it, or, like, yeah, even just progress it a little bit further as well. I think that would be really exciting and really nice, because I know that, yeah, this isn't supposed to be the end. It's the beginning.
Yeah.
For sure.
Why should audiences come and watch Romeo Must Die?
Well, obviously it's relevant, like, to everyone. I think everyone, no matter who you are, you'll be able to relate to a character or their situation. But also, like, as Myra and I both said earlier, is that, like, we both knew from, like, just seeing 10 minutes of it that, like it is really a phenomenal piece of work. It is. And I think just the opportunity to be in that room at the very start of this project, and kind of experience, I guess, like a masterpiece in the making, like, and have the opportunity to be there at the beginning and support it at the beginning before everyone else has even had a chance to realize how amazing it is. I think that would be cool. I think that's very cool.
Yeah, I guess on the similar vein, I think this is just the beginning of it, but to see something at this stage, you can only do that once.
Yes.
And so I think for you to rob yourself of that opportunity to see it now, so that you can, in 3 years, in 5, 10 years time, where the success of it still lives on, you can be like, but I was at the beginning, where were you? Where were you?
Make sure you get your tickets.
Exactly. So I think it's about that. I think it's about seeing something that has begun here, and with this group of people. Projects do evolve with people, but often things might change. And so to be in the conception of the beginnings, the beginning of a team, the beginnings of a community is huge. And we've got an amazing cast and creative team, and I think it'd just be a shame to miss it at this point.
I'm Daniel. I'm an actor, writer, director, artist. I just love to create and make things and have a lot of fun. Yeah, that's me.
What first drew you to this play?
Oh man. First of all, the title, Romeo Must Die, it's intriguing. It's a question that I feel like needs to be answered. Like, why does Romeo have to die? Secondly, Shakespeare, and I have a very big love for Shakespeare, so that was the second biggest thing drawing me in.
Yeah, amazing. And who is Peter, and what role does he play in the world of the story?
Oh, Peter is Peter is like an amalgamation of Romeo and a bunch of other characters in the original Romeo and Juliet. He is the lover. He is someone that I think he brings a lot of hope, a lot of love, a lot of optimism to the crew of friends. He's the good guy. I think that's the best way to describe him. Yeah.
What do you think are the similarities between you and Peter?
Oh, I think we're similar in that way of hope and optimism.
Okay.
I'm someone that sort of leads my life in that way, and so does Peter. He likes to see the best. He likes to sort of keep up this good front. And Peter's he's a very innocent guy as well. I don't know if I would say like I'm innocent, but Peter's very like young and new to the world and innocent.
Okay.
So yeah.
What's been your favourite part about playing him?
You know what? It's been finding where we're similar, so in that sort of hopefulness and that sort of optimism, but also finding where we are different and what is sort of what makes us sort of distinctive individuals, and how I can tap into that side of Peter as well and just bring him to life as a character. It's just been really fun speaking to Gloria, the director, and just trying to understand what she was thinking when she wrote this character, and how I can relate that to my life, and then how I can then embody that and bring that out when we're performing.
Yeah, so what has that process been like working with Gloria, and obviously what she had written on the page? How were you able to then bring that to the stage?
First and foremost, Gloria is a brilliant writer, because the greatness of the writing has allowed me as an actor easier access into the character, and trying to understand the character. And whenever I have any questions about Peter, or how Peter relates to any other character in the story, I just ask Gloria, and she's able to tell me. And sometimes she doesn't even tell me the answer. She's like, so how do you think this is, or what do you think this is about, or what can you draw from this? And there's a lot of questions that we find, or we ask about our characters, which Gloria knows the answers to, but she won't give us, to not limit what we can do with the character. And those questions are answered as we go through the play and as we're rehearsing and we figure things out. But I like that she lets us find out the answer to the question instead of actually giving it to us and like sort of spoon feeding us this information. It makes us better actors, and just better storytellers in general, I think.
Yeah, so it's been a really collaborative process.
It's been a really collaborative process with everybody involved, the producers, the director, all the other cast members. Like it's been a real team effort. Yeah.
And with the cast, who is Peter the most similar to?
I'm gonna say he's similar to Christy, who plays Rose.
Okay.
If does that answer the question? Like, so in terms of real life counterparts, similar to Christy, because that sort of innocence that Christy has, and she's very fun and sort of bubbly and innocent in a way, and I think that's sort of Peter as well.
Okay, so you've learnt that from her. So is there like one thing you've been able to take from her and be like, okay, this is what I'm bringing into
The innocence aspect of it, and the innocence aspect of it, but also I'm gonna say Remmel for the fun aspects, because Remmel is a very fun and sort of loud, and like he's a character, and he's someone that you love to work with in the rehearsal room. And Peter has that about him in some scenes, and I was able to like steal that from Remmel and bring that into my character when I'm playing him.
Okay, nice. And what layers or complexities were important for you to try and bring into Peter beyond what's on that page?
Again, the most fundamental layer is that he's innocent, but he's not stupid. He's not dumb. He's not. He's a very smart guy. Actually, like in the story, and I think having that level of innocence, but also having that level of strength, where it's like when he senses something is wrong, or when he feels like this is not the way things are supposed to be, he acts, and that's something that you have. It's like a balancing act. Like he's not. He can never be too forceful, but he can never be too sort of chill about anything, or too sort of nonchalant about anything.
Yeah. What do you think is Peter's biggest lesson that he has to learn in the play?
Sometimes you might think you're doing things for the right reasons, but that might not always be the case in the grand scheme of things.
Okay.
Yeah. He has a strong moral compass, definitely. But that moral compass, because it's so strong and he can be a bit narrow-minded at times, can lead him astray.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Do you think that Peter challenges or reinforces the ideas of masculinity in the play? Because I know that's a huge theme in the play.
Definitely challenges.
Okay.
Definitely challenges. He's a sort of pure soul that wants to do good. He doesn't really subscribe to that sort of traditional masculine thing or themes. He has some of those traits, but that's not all of him. You know, he's very in touch with his emotions. He's sensitive. He loves really hard, and I think, so it's not like traditional masculinity. It's sort of, it is sort of the good parts of masculinity, where it's like he can be strong and defiant when needed, but not all of it. I'm not sure if that answers the question.
It does, but I think also the idea of like reshaping what masculinity is, because who's to say that that's not masculine?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what? That's it. He reshapes it. He reshapes it. He changes it, and he makes it better. We hope.
Yeah. And what's the biggest lesson you've learned from Peter from playing him?
It's good to be hopeful. It's good to be hopeful, and love isn't all bad. You know, I think that's what I've taken away from Peter. he's a bit of a lover boy, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
100%.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a bit of love in their
Everyone
life.
needs a bit of love, yeah.
Has there been a rehearsal moment that's really stuck with you?
Yeah, you know what? One of our most recent rehearsals was a full-day rehearsal, and it wasn't even us rehearsing. It was the conversations we were having during our lunch break,
Right.
and it was about masculinity and how women feel and are treated and things like that, because these are sort of themes that are embedded in the play. And we had as a team, we had a whole conversation about it. We even ran over our lunch period because we were so engrossed in this conversation. But it opened my eyes to a lot of things of like how women see the world, things that I wasn't actually, I didn't actually know or was clear on. And just having that conversation, because it hit me so hard, it's been one of the high points of doing this project, you know, regardless of how the play goes and all that stuff. That conversation like really stuck with me.
Yeah, I'm interested to know about that conversation.
Yeah.
What was like the one thing in that conversation that you were like, oh, like really opened your eyes? You said obviously that thing about women. What was it specifically about it?
It was about how women specifically feel and behave when they're in love,
Right.
what love looks like for them, how it differs from what men feel like or feel when they're in love.
Yeah.
How we as men treat women when we're in love with them, when we think we're in love with them, and how that sometimes isn't really love, you know, and how we can be better humans in general. Sometimes the world feels like it's lacking love and it's lacking hope, but that conversation made me believe that hey, there's a little bit of, we can inject a little bit of love in there, we can inject a little bit of hope, and the more you hope and all that stuff, you know, the more things can go well. You can think yourself into a positive life.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's very inspiring. It's really, really nice. How would you describe the show overall in one sentence?
I don't think people are ready for this.
Oh, go on.
The show has a story to tell, and I think that's my best way of describing it.
Okay.
It has a very big story to tell, and you're not ready. You're not, whatever you think you're coming to watch, that's not what you're coming to watch. It's a different thing.
Okay, and why do you think this story needs to be told today?
Well, first of all, a lot of people are not actually familiar with Shakespeare. I mean, people know about Romeo and Juliet and they know the story, but if you go and watch a Romeo and Juliet at the National or whatever theatre showing, you know, even the Shakespearean English is hard to penetrate. You might not really understand what's going on. So this, even though it's sort of a change from the original Romeo and Juliet, it stays true to the themes, and I think it can relate to people in that way. It's more accessible to people. I feel like everybody should be studying Shakespeare. We should be reading more Shakespeare. We should have more stories from Shakespeare that can be adapted to nowadays and can be taken in by the masses. Even though this was, you know, Shakespeare was 1600s, you know, however many years ago, the themes and what he was talking about back then are so relatable to us now. I mean, think about how many people read Hamlet for the first time and they're like, oh my God, I relate to this so much, because these are things that we're still going through 500-600 years in the future, you know, or now. So Shakespeare is still very important. So that's why I think this play is relevant today.
Hello, my name's Remmel Oduro-Sanniez. I am a poet, actor, House of Vox member. For those who don't know what House of Vox is, we are a CIC who use our poetry platform and other creative forms to platform marginalised voices. I do battle rap with the Trenches Battle League, and I am currently here right now, Theatre Peckham, about to play Tyrone from Romeo Must Die.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So can you introduce us to Tyrone and what his role is within the friendship group?
Cool, all right, cool. You see, Tyrone, it's a great question you asked, actually. Tyrone is the one who gets things done. He is the boy in school who would sell KA, biscuits, cookies, all sorts. He's the hustler. But then he also is quite streetwise, but because of his streetwiseness, he's also quite involved.
Okay.
I don't want to say too much,
Yeah.
but he's one of those guys too.
And what's it been like playing him? Do you feel like you have a lot of similarities with him?
Yes, similarities in terms of like the duality of him being like seen as one side, but knowing he has another side to himself.
Okay.
I feel like Tyrone, you know, he's quite misunderstood at times, but he does have a loving nature to him. It's just he's willing to do a lot for the people he cares about.
Okay.
Yeah.
What initially drew you to this character? Was there another character you were interested in playing, or was it always Tyrone, Tyrone, Tyrone?
You know what? When we were doing the R&Ds for this, it was always Tyrone.
Okay.
But I did think about it for a minute. I was like, I wonder if I could be a Peter. I feel like I like Peter. We've spoken with Peter, haven't we?
We have spoken with Peter, and he was talking a lot about the hopefulness of Peter. So would you class yourself as quite a hopeful man?
Yeah, as Remmel, I'm quite optimistic.
Yeah.
Tyrone, he's not pessimistic, but he is reality based.
There are obviously huge themes in the plays, such as race and masculinity. What do you think that Tyrone kind of drives?
Okay, definitely masculinity. There's quite a lot of testosterone in Tyrone.
Okay.
But then I'd also say vulnerability on that same kind of spectrum. I feel like there's moments where you can see Tyrone going through a lot, but you can also see that behind the mask, he's still trying his best to keep it on, but it's starting to crack a little bit at times.
Yeah.
So definitely vulnerability is a big one.
What's been the challenge with trying to have that mask, and trying to show it to the audience, but not like completely expose us to it? Yeah.
You know what? Living my life, I've had to do that at times. Rough times, just day in, day out. So I think kind of using my own lifestyle and my own routines and being in situations that I've been in, I kind of apply that to Tyrone. And I need to remember that he is still a lot younger than me. So in terms of maturity, where I am is good for how old I am, but also for him, he hasn't learned certain lessons I have. And it means that he's going to express himself in a way that may not be good in the moment, but he will hopefully be around to adapt.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'm interested to know about your process with Tyrone. So you get told that you're playing Tyrone, you've booked the role. How are we prepping ourselves to embody this man?
Okay, cool. So when you get told you got the role, you do a little victory dance.
Yeah, he's ready.
Then, so you read the script top to bottom, have your initial read, you're like, what? Okay, cool. Well, okay, that's what he's on. All right, cool, I get him. Or you see him anyway.
Yeah.
I like to see my characters. I don't want to force anything on them. Then I look for the facts. What do people say about him? What does he say about himself? All of those kind of stuff. And then after that, I kind of have a amalgamation of, cool, this is who I see him as, this is who he can be, and this is who he's presented as. And then you see there's kind of trifecta there.
Yeah.
I kind of want to pinpoint the middle so the audience have a chance to be like, oh, I saw this in him. Is there a chance for this to happen in his future? Because then it's like you've fallen in love with the character now. And then that's kind of like my process, but then also in terms of physicality, how does Tyrone walk in comparison to how I walk? Everyone has their own little struts and whatnot in life. So I go down paper first, psychology, physicality, and then turination, and then it kind of, we're there with Tyrone.
What's something that you've learned about Tyrone that you've fully embodied that audiences wouldn't know by first just seeing you play him?
What have I learned from him?
Yeah, what's the lesson you've learned from him?
Okay, cool. Like, I'm quite a nice person. Okay. I wouldn't say I'm a pushover. I'm a Gemini, which means I have two sides to myself. I'm not two-faced, I have two sides. I think it's to stand firm in your choices. It's not about necessarily being wrong and strong, but one thing I like about Tyrone is that when he's doing something, it's consider it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's something I want to carry on into life. If I say I'm doing something, it's happened now. So yeah, definitely that's something.
Were there any particular scenes in the play that you feel really challenged you as an actor?
Yeah. I say there's two. There's two scenes that kind of challenge me as an actor. Scene 4. I'm not going to say what happens in scene 4. You'll come down on the first and second to see what happens in scene 4 and scene 12.
Yeah.
But the reason they challenge me is because me as a person and then Tyrone have conflict in the actual moment of it.
Okay.
So there's a kind of a demand where I need to cross a boundary for myself. Not a mad boundary, but like more of an internal one. I'm like, cool, I would never do this. How do I make this real enough for the audience to believe it? So I kind of had to draw myself out of something that, a comfort zone. Yeah.
I'm really interested in knowing about the cast dynamic because obviously it's about a friendship group. So how were you able to create such a tight-knit friendship group that then portrays itself on stage?
I think, so Giovanna, who plays Choma, I met her, when I met her in my second year of drama school. So that's almost 2 years now. So she's really cool. She's a great person, great actor, amazing. Lewis, he's gifted. He's going to Lambda now. I met him in my first year of drama school, so I have that chemistry with him. Yeah, look up Furia Productions. That's all him.co.uk, all of that. He's a great cameraman as well. So I know those two initially. Please don't let me forget someone. I know someone else. Please.
It's crazy how connected this industry is.
The world got smaller today already. When we met, the world got smaller.
Even our
we know people.
connections.
Yeah, literally.
It's crazy.
But yeah, like us as a group and an ensemble, you know, getting to meet George, Tanyel, Kyla, all these new faces, Chris as well, like such vibrant people. And I think it's our like positivity and the what's the word? Dedication to the craft. That's what's keeping us all together. But we're also quite like, we're playful.
I love
Not
that.
unserious, we're playful. I was gonna say unserious, but we are like, it's a great vibe. So even if we didn't have the script to do, I feel like us hanging out, it's a party.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's so much fun.
No, yeah.
What do you want audiences to understand about Tyrone by the end of the play?
Cool, so by scene 4, you probably hate him. No, scene 6, you probably hate him.
Oh, he's the villain.
And you know what, the villain never thinks they're the villain. Not to say he is the villain. That's up to you guys to decide.
Okay.
But by the end of the play, I want you to understand where he can go and where he is now. I want the audience to understand that, you know, this is just the beginning for him. It's not the end, and that, you know, he's a loving boy and he's trying to find himself in a world that's very black and white.
Okay, nice. And I have one final question for you. If we were to think about Tyrone's soundtrack, what songs is Tyrone listening to?
You know, okay, cool. With all characters I play, I do create a playlist. And
Me too.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
You get it. Cool, great.
Yeah.
So we do have a bit of drill.
Okay.
We're in Peckham, so I'm not going to say all the drill artists he listens to. We're in Peckham, I will say he does listen to Zone 2. He listens to Bugsy,
Okay.
being a Mancunian. He listens to Bugsy. H, he does that Shotty horror. He's a battle rapper. I think there's a viciousness that comes out, and I kind of use that element to bring in Tyrone. He does like a grime. I do feel like if you put a mic in front of Tyrone, he could spit a 2-2 bar.
Okay.
But don't expect it to be a loving thing. Expect it to be quite, gruesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Tyrone's playlist more or less. A bit of Afro beats as well.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a Ghanaian man like myself.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Remmel. It's lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.